Now, before we jump in and start to master the conditional or logic-based functions that are found within Microsoft Excel, I want to introduce you to a concept that you're going to work with throughout your career of using functions or formulas inside of Excel. This deals with a concept called name ranges. Now, typically, and I'm going to give you an example here, typically when you want to be able to, let's say, sum up a range of cells, for example, looking at the example file that I have open in front of you right now, I've got some weekly data, sales figures, week 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now, at the bottom of each of those columns, I've got a weekly total. And I'd like to be able to just sum up each week, right? This way we can compare values between the various weeks that we have that make up the sales figures December 2015. Now, typically, if I'm going to do that, the way that I would sum this up would look something like this right here. I would say equals sum. I'm using the sum function. There it is inside the little drop-down menu, the IntelliSense. I'm going to hit my tab key. And now I'm going to grab the range of cells that I want to sum up. In this case, it'll be B5 through B9. Now, this is a very standard approach, very typical approach to summing up a range of cells. And really, we do this by grabbing the range of cells that we want to work with. Now, an alternative to this is called a name range. Imagine, rather than summing up B5 through B9, I want to sum up a group of cells that's called week 1. And that's it. And Excel knows that when I reference something called week 1, that it is this group of cells right here. This is a name range. Now, what's the purpose of a name range? Well, very simply, it's another way to reference a group of cells. I'm no longer referencing them by column and row address, but I'm referencing them by a name that we've established for that group of cells. Take a look. This is super simple to create. I'm going to do it for week 2. So first step, in order to create a name range, you got to select the cells that you want to name. So I'm going to grab cells C5 through C9. This is the week 2 data. I'm then going to go up to just next door to my formula bar, just to the left. You can currently see I have my name box. And currently it's telling me my active cell is C5. Well, I'm going to change that. I'm going to click into there where it says C5. And I'm going to change this to week underscore 2. Now I'm using an underscore because name ranges will not allow spaces in the names. But it's that simple. Give it a name, select the cells, give it a name. I'm going to hit my enter key. Make sure you do hit your enter key after you're done naming the range. And now I'm going to jump down here to C10 and I'm going to perform another sum. Equals sum, open my parentheses. But rather than grabbing C5 through C9, what am I going to sum up? Week. And look at that. It's right there in my IntelliSense. Week underscore 2. I'll give that a double click. Close my parentheses. Hit my enter key. And I've now summed up that range of cells utilizing a name range. Really simple. Again, highlight a group of cells, jump up to the top where you got your name box. I'm going to change this one to week underscore 3. Remember, no spaces inside your names. Hit my enter key, and now I can use that in my formulas. Equals sum, open parentheses. Here's week underscore 3. Give that a double click, close my parentheses, hit my enter key. And I've now summed up that range of cells by its name. Again, really simple to create. Highlight the group of cells, give them a name. Use that name within your formulas. Now you can actually use it for more than just formulas. If I jump up to the name box and click on the drop-down arrow, I get a list of all the name ranges. And if I select one of them, it'll take me to that location. So it's also a really quick way to navigate these larger sets of data, give it a name range, and allow you to just select from a big list. Now, this is something I'm going to continue to use as we go through this course. We could sum up a range of cells by column and row address, or we can quickly give them a name and then use that. So try this out. Open up the exercise file that comes with this course, grab a group of cells like the week 1 data, the week 2 data, whatever you want, give it a name, and then use it in a formula. We're going to take a look at perhaps one of my favorite functions built into Microsoft Excel. We're going to talk about the if function. Now, the if function isn't just exclusive to Microsoft Excel. If you get into any programming language, you're going to jump into ifs. Now, here's an example of an if, an everyday example, something that you could probably apply to this morning when you woke up. Think about it. What woke you up this morning? More than likely, you probably had an alarm clock that went off. The alarm clock was set. It had a very specific condition that it was looking for. For me, it said, hey, when it becomes 7 o'clock in the morning, I should ring a bell and wake this person up. If it's not 7 o'clock yet, then I'll go ahead and wait until it becomes 7 o'clock. This is essentially an if. It's a condition. If this is true, if 7 o'clock is the current time, then I'm going to do something. If it's not 7 o'clock, then I'm going to do something else, like I'm going to wait. Well, let's bring this into the world of Excel with an if function. Very similar concept. Take a look. Inside this example file, I've got some totals here. These are the totals for the 4 weeks of December 2015 for these 5 different salespeople. And what I'd like to know is whether or not these salespeople, their totals, met the monthly goal. Was the goal met? Well, I want to compare these individual totals against this monthly goal total. That's an if. Well, was the goal met? If it's true, 36,000, that's greater than 34,000. So they met the goal. Then I want to put a big old yes right here inside of H5 for H. James, right? Well, did K. Dunn make it? 31,000, compare that against 34. Oh, sorry, K. Dunn didn't make it, so no. Okay? These are our conditions we're looking for. If this is true, if the total is greater than this or equal to this, then do one thing. If it's not, then do something else. This is your if function. And I love this function. This is just one example here. But anytime that you're inside of Excel and you've got to make a decision based off of some condition, and you probably do this a lot, maybe you're comparing dates or you're comparing numbers against each other, whatever it is, get the if function to do it for you. So take a look. This is how you work with the if function. Now to set this up, I'm actually going to name this I2 cell. So I'm going to select I2. I'll go up to the name box in the corner. And rather than calling it I2, I'm going to call this monthly, let's make sure I spell that right, monthly goal. And you might recall, if you took part in the earlier video, no spaces inside of your name ranges. I'll hit my enter key, make sure that it accepts that, and I've now named that I2 cell as monthly goal. All right, so I'm going to do the first one here. Was the goal met? I'm going to do it for H. James. So I'll click inside of cell H5. I'm then going to go up to my Formulas tab, top of my screen. I'm going to go into the Logical folder, and I'm going to find if. This opens up my functions argument window, where the if function has 3 arguments, 3 things that it needs to know in order to perform the if function. So the first thing, this is our test or our condition. This is what we're looking for. So for my logical test, I want to know if F5, I'll click in that cell, this is H. James's total. If F5 is greater than or equal to, and I'm just typing those in, I2, or what did I call it? Monthly goal. So there's our logical test. This is what our condition's looking for. If F5 is greater than or equal to monthly goal. Okay, great. Now I get to designate what's going to happen if that's true and what's going to happen if that's false. Well, for me, I'm going to make this really simple. I'll say if it's true, then I'm just going to put a big old yes in there. As soon as I hit my tab key here, you'll see that Excel puts quotes around it. Now, if it doesn't do it, you do want to put quotes around that. It's a text value. It's expected that any text values will be surrounded by quotes. Now, that's the true part. Yes, you made it. Yay! If you didn't make it, then I'm going to say, no, what a bummer. Okay? Hit my tab key, and once again, Excel puts the quotes in there. So 3 little things. It's a super powerful function. Get a condition. What are you looking for? Well, that condition will be evaluated, and then one of 2 things will take place. Yes and no, or true and false. And that's it. I'll hit OK. And the first person, no big surprise here, H. James made the goal. 36,000, yes, indeed, is greater than 34. Now I need to do this for the rest of them. Try this out yourself. Open up the exercise file, jump in, utilize an if to complete the option for was the goal met. Specify the condition and tell it what you want it to do, whether it's true or false. And really quickly, once you do one of them, I can then use the autofill, that little box in the corner, drag that down, left click and drag, and I'm done. Yes, no, no, yes, yes. So try it out, confirm that the monthly goal was met or not met for each of these employees, and then we'll carry on to the next function. We're going to take the if function several steps further. I'm going to introduce you to another concept here called nesting functions. And in doing so, we're going to revisit the if function, and I'm going to introduce you to another function that's going to allow us to take the if function and apply multiple conditions, multiple logical tests. And this function that I'm thinking about is called AND. Take a look. Here's the example that I want to walk you through. So I'm still inside this same exercise file. I've got the goals. Yes, no, no, yes, yes. Great. Now what I want to figure out is whether or not these individuals met the bonus status. Now, what is the bonus status? Well, I'm going to make something up here. Listen to this. In order for each employee individually to receive the bonus, this would be some type of monthly bonus, they need to do 5 things. 1, they had to have met the goal. Okay, so right off the bat, there's one condition, and we already know 2 of them did not meet the bonus because they didn't meet the monthly goal. Okay, well, that's just one condition. They also, and they need to have met, let's say, $8,000 or more dollars each week. Okay, so 5 things. They had to have met the goal, and each week 1, 2, 3, and 4 here, they had to have made more than $8,000. All right, catch all that? 5 things, goal, and 4 weeks. Well, you know what? A standard if function, like we accomplished with was the goal met, only allows for one condition, one logical test to be evaluated. Well, I've got 5 different things that I want to evaluate here. And you know what? I'm going to streamline it even more, and I'm going to say there's 2 things. And I'll explain more why here in just a moment. Now, this is going to involve us tweaking the if function a little bit to get it to do more for us. And we're going to do this by taking another function, something called the AND function, and nesting it within the if. Take a look. So I'm going to do the first bonus status. This will be for H. James. This is the side of cell I5. Now I'm going to start out with an if, because really I'm looking for a condition and I want one of 2 things to happen here. Either, yep, they made the bonus, or nope, they didn't make the bonus. So I'm going to start with an if. I5, I'm going to formulas, logical, then I'll find if. And look at that. 2 up, I see and. We're going to come back to that here in a moment. I'm going to grab if. So once again, this opens up my function arguments window. Got the 3 different arguments, the logical test, the value of true, and the value of false. Now, remember, it's a standard if function only allows us to perform one evaluation, one logical test. Well, I need multiple. I need more than one. Okay? Well, in order for me to do that, I'm going to type in here, inside the logical test, I'm going to type in and. And, open up a parentheses here, is another Microsoft Excel function. And it does one thing for us. It allows us to evaluate multiple tests in and fashion. Meaning, is this true? And is this true? And is this true? You can do up to 255 tests using the AND function. Now, to help visually see this, I'm going to go up to my formula bar, and I'm going to click where it says AND. This will change my function arguments window to the AND function. And now I've got 2 tests in there, but down below you can see you can have up to 255 conditions or tests. Now I'm going to start specifying mine. I'll go to logical 1, and first thing, they had to have met the goal. So I'm going to click inside of H5 and say, hey, does H5 equal yes? Okay, that's my first test. Now logical 2. Remember, we got potentially 5 tests here, but I'm going to trim it down to 2. Now, you notice when I clicked in logical 2, they gave me logical 3. You can do up to 255 of them again. Now, to streamline this to some more, remember, I also need to check whether each week they made more than 8,000. Well, I could do each week individually, or I could do this. There's a function that you're probably familiar with inside of Excel called min. It stands for minimum. And all it needs is a range of cells. So what I'm going to do here is say, okay, well, hey, if the minimum of this group of cells, let's see, what is that? B5 through E5, that's H. James's weekly data, close my parentheses, is greater than or equal to 8,000. So it'll go through all 4 values, find the smallest value in there, and compare it against my 8,000. So rather than doing it individually, checking B5, are you greater than 8,000? Checking C5, are you greater than 8,000? And so on. I'm going to nest another function, so we're kind of 3 layers deep here, a min function inside the and, which is inside the if, that'll figure out what the smallest value is and then compare it to 8,000. I love this. Creating these more dynamic calculations by nesting functions within functions. Now, this is still the and. I'm done. I'm now going to go back to my if. So I'll click on if up here at the top. Now I need to finish out the if function. So if it's true, then I'll say bonus. There we go. And if it's not true, then I'm going to say no bonus. There we go. All right. Now that's it. I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. Bonus, first person. They met the goal. Oh, they made more than $8,000 each week. Try this out. Jump into the exercise file, create the if for the bonus status, start with H. James, and nest in the and for multiple conditions, and if you'd like, bring in the min as well so that you can check all 4 weeks in one function. And then when you're done, just copy that down using the autofill. There we go. Bonus, no bonus, no bonus, bonus, no bonus. Ooh, this person made the bonus, or met the goal, but they didn't get the bonus. Let's see. Yeah, they met the goal. Greater than 8,000, greater than 8,000. Oh, these 2 weeks did not make it. Try it out. A very dynamic function using the if, using the and potentially a minimum as well. Microsoft Excel is full of logic-based conditional functions. We've taken a look at a few of them so far during this course. The next one that we're going to take a look at is the count if function. Now, inside of Excel, we have a standard count function. And the standard count function will go through and count a range of cells that contain numeric data. We've also got a count blanks function built into Excel, which will count blank cells from a range of cells. Now, the one that we're going to take a look at here will count a range of cells based on a condition that we specify. We're essentially going to take a standard count function and combine it with an if. I want to count if something is true. Now, open in front of you once again, I've got our example file. I'm still on the if function worksheet. And I've got a cell here. This is cell F14, where I'd like to count the current number of salespeople who have reached their goal. What's the goal? Well, we decided that earlier, right? Was the goal met? We've got some yeses and nos, and I just want to count the yeses. That's it. Think about this. Anytime that you need to go through a list of records inside of Excel, and I want to know how many records matched this criteria. You've probably done this manually. Record by record by record. Ooh, there's one. There's another. There's 2. There's 3. There's 4. Oh, no, that's not 1. There's back to 3. This is a very manual process. Now, let's take a look at the count if function and how we can streamline our efforts in counting records based on a condition. Take a look. So I'm inside of F14. I'm going to go back to my formulas tab, back into logical, and let's see. Ooh, I got my logical kind of text or conditional based functions inside of here, but I don't see my count if. Let's see where we can find this one at. I'm going to hop into my insert function window. This will open up my insert function window. And in here I can do a quick little search. I can go into a little drop down and pick from categories, very similar to what I found on my formulas bar. Now, my first thought is it should be under logical because it's an if. But I scroll through there and once again, I don't see it. So I'm just going to do a quick little search here. We'll say count if. Then I'll hit the go button. It'll go through and find everything related to this term that I searched on. There's count and count, and there's if, and there's count if. So with that one selected, I'll hit OK. And this will open up my function arguments window for the count if function. So it wants to know two things. It wants to know the range of cells that I'd like to count, and it wants to know the criteria. Very simple. So first, the range. I'm going to go grab this range of cells here, H5 to H9. That's where I want to count whether or not they met their goal. And the criteria that I'm searching for, I want to count all of the yeses. So in quotes here, I'm going to type in yes. And that's it. I'll hit OK. And probably no big surprise here, but there's a 3. I'm counting a very specific value from this group of cells. In this case, counting the yeses. Try this out. Really simple. Count if. Specify the range of cells that you want to count within and the criteria. What is it that you're counting within that range of cells? Microsoft Excel's got kind of basic level functions, things like sum and average and minimum and maximum. And then it's got things that are more advanced. Things like the if function, the VLOOKUP function, and a number of other more advanced type functions. And in some cases, kind of like what we took a look at in an earlier video, they combine some of these basic ones with more advanced ones. We took a look at earlier the count if function. I want to count a group of cells if this is true. Well, we've also got a sum if. I want to sum up a group of cells if this condition is true. A standard sum just sums up a group of cells. Whatever you specify, that's what it's going to sum. Well, sum if, I'm going to grab a range of cells. For example, I'll grab all the sales here from D3 all the way down to, it's going to keep going here, a few hundred records, down to D272. That's the range of cells that I want to sum up. But you know what? Let's get back up here to the top. I don't want to sum up every single sale. I just want to sum up 4 specific stores, or a specific month, or a specific SKU. I only want to sum up if a specific condition is true. Take a look. This is the sum if function. So off to the right, I'm on the sum if function worksheet. I've got this nice little simple table built here just to help demonstrate this function. So I'm going to click into cell H3. I want to get the total units. Okay, this is the total units column here, but I only want to do it for a specific store. Or I want to get the total sales. Here's the sales column. We were looking at this earlier, but only for this store. Okay? Sum if. Watch this. So I'm inside of H3. I'm going to do the units. I'm going to go up to my formulas tab. Now I can dig through the books. We thought, well, you know, it's got an if, so maybe it's underneath logical. No, not there. Well, it's a sum function, so maybe it's under math and trig. I can scroll through here. There's yeses. Oh, there's sum if. And hey, by the way, right below sum if, we have sum ifs. You can specify multiple sets of conditions or criteria. I want to sum up if this is true, and this is true, and this is true, and so on. Let's take a look at the more basic of the two. Let's grab the sum if. So once again, this opens up my argument window. 3 things. Wants to know the range of cells that I want to evaluate. This is the if portion of the sum if. Hey, I want to look at the store column and check to see if it's equal to 3,000. So my range here, I'm going to grab from B3. I'm going to give you a little shortcut key here. I need to get all the way down to row number 272, right? So I'm going to do Control-Shift on my keyboard and the down arrow on my keyboard. And this will jump all the way to the bottom. So it finds that empty cell and then stops. So there's the range that I want to evaluate. That's where I'm going to look for the specific store. Now my criteria. Well, great. That's the range of cells right up above, B3 to B272. What am I looking for? Well, I want to look for store number 3000. 1, 2, 3. All right. Now, what do we want to sum up? I want to point out here, I'm going to scroll back to the top. I want to point out in the argument window, you'll notice that range and criteria are different than sum range. You spot the difference? What's the difference between these three here? Well, range and criteria are bold. Sum range is not. When it's not bold, this designates this particular argument as being optional. I don't have to do it, which means if I don't use it, it actually sums up the range that you selected initially. You know what? That's not what I want. The range that I want to sum up, I'm trying to get total units. So I'm going to come over here and get B3 or E3, E3, Control Shift down arrow, down to E272. And that's it. Three things. What's the range that you're looking into, the one that you're trying to evaluate? What am I looking for is the criteria, and what's the range of cells that you actually want to sum up if that criteria is true. Hit my OK button, and look at that. 17,538 units that are stored or have been sold from store number 3000. Really simple, three little things. Where am I looking? What am I looking for? And what am I going to sum up if I find it? This is the sum if. Try this out. Complete the rest of these examples here. Get the total sales for store number 3000. Get the total units, total sales for the specific SKU. Try it out. Mess around with it. Think about your own work. Where can you apply this? Do you ever need to sum up a range of cells, but only where a specific condition is true? You'll be using a sum if function. Let's take a look at one more of these conditional logic-based functions. Now I'm going to give you a quick little peek into a function that we're going to take a look at in the next section. This is going to deal with the VLOOKUP or the vertical lookup function. Now open in front of you, I've still got the same example file. I'm on the VLOOKUP function worksheet. And we'll talk some more about this later on as you go through this course. But for now, let's take a look at the if error function. Now, no matter how careful you happen to be within Excel, you're going to run into errors at some point. Whether it's a misspelled function name, it's an incorrect range of cells that were selected when the function was created, it's improper input that was put into the document itself, it's a later edit that then messes up the formula, whatever it happens to be. Maybe somebody deleted content that a previous formula needed. Well, because that content's no longer around, the original formula now fails, it breaks. So we're going to take a look at how we can display something useful if there's an error. Now, inside of Excel, there are a handful of different types of errors. On this particular worksheet, this VLOOKUP function worksheet, I've got 3 cells that contain an error. This is a pretty standard error inside of Excel. What's happening here is I've got these employee IDs that are being used inside of a formula, a VLOOKUP formula, that is gathering last names based on the employee ID from another worksheet. Well, the problem is with these 3 cells where they have the pound NA or not available, the problem is these IDs that are being used to look up the last names with the VLOOKUP, these IDs don't exist. So 3000, there is no employee number 3000. There is no employee number 3011 or 4125. If I were to change that to say, let's try one that exists, like 1054, hit my enter key. Well, it found Smith because 1054 is a valid employee ID. Well, let's put 3000 back in there. Now, at some point, maybe we had employees, 3000, 3011, 4125, or we have them, they actually exist, but they just don't happen to be kept inside of our Excel list at this moment. So these are perhaps valid values, but we just can't find them for one reason or another. Now, again, we're getting a standard Excel error. That's not what I want. I don't want this standard Excel error. I want it to say something like, this employee doesn't exist, or employee ID was not found. I want something a little more descriptive to present to the user rather than this really generic out-of-the-box error message that Excel spits out to us. You know, you might look at that and be like, what's pound NA? What's that all about? Why am I getting that? Well, let's be more descriptive here. So here's the if error function. Watch this. So I'm going to click into B11 where I've got my first error. And up above, I can see my formula there. This is the VLOOKUP or vertical lookup function. Again, we'll talk more about this in a later lecture. Now, all I'm going to do here is click right after the equal sign up there. And I'm going to type in if error. And I'm going to open up a parentheses. Now, the if error function, it's a built-in function inside of Excel. And I can see I got a little screen tip here. The value and value if error. So two things. And to make this even more visual here, I'll click on the FX button. So this took me to the VLOOKUP arguments. That's not really what I want. So I'm going to click back on the if error portion of my formula here at the top. All right, here we are. So if error, there's my VLOOKUP. That's what I'm trying to evaluate. That's the value. If there's an error in the value, then I get to tell it what to do if there's an error. Well, remember the VLOOKUP failed. It said I can't find employee number 3000. So I get the error back NA. So I'm going to change that. Because there's an error, value if error, I'm going to say, I'm going to put this in quotes. We'll say imp ID wasn't found. Close the quotes. There we are. So if there's an error in the original value or in the original formula, then I'm going to do this. And that's it. I'll hit OK. And there we have it. Let's make that column a little wider. If there was an error, employee ID wasn't found. And I'm just going to copy that down 2 cells. And there we have it. So now rather than this generic error message, pound NA or pound div /0 or pound name, like there's a handful of different Excel errors that just come out of the box based on the type of error that was found, we can replace it utilizing this if error function. 2 things. What am I evaluating? Where's the error potentially at? In this case, it was the VLOOKUP. Then, what do you want to do if there's an error? Try this out. Open up the example file, hop over to the VLOOKUP worksheet, and fix those 3 formulas right there. Or perhaps, go up to the topmost one, fix that one, and then copy it down using the autofill.